For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Lots of recommendations being forwarded to the authorities managing our Castries port. That is in light of a recurring problem, which, unfortunately, they have ignored for much too long. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, Newspin, on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the Newspin Facebook page, as well as the Newspin YouTube channel. We go up until 2 o'clock this afternoon with your calls at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And Amanda will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Of course, today is Thursday, and is hoping so far it is one that is quite enjoyable, a splendid one at that. Well, according to reports on Wednesday afternoon, the special unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force that has been renamed as the Gang Narcotics and Firearms Unit, GNFU, made a significant raid and narcotics seizure in the process. A staggering 196 kilograms of cocaine valued at over AC $4 million. And this was done in a section of Monchy. I think one person has been arrested, and we are still waiting for confirmation from the police. And as much as we have to give kudos to that unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the GNFU, we also have to take into account that it's working in collaboration with the K9 unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, the once disbanded K9 unit. And if you ask me, that is one of the greatest injustices which has been done to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force over the last several decades of its existence. Again, the decision by this administration, without any kind of reasonable or acceptable explanation as to why the decision was done to disband the K9 unit. This was a grave injustice, and this really put the officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force at a serious disadvantage. This was, if you ask me, a retrograde step, and I know that many of you are in concurrence. And those who are not in concurrence, then they are definitely in denial. We turn our attention to the issue of the moment. Again, the Castries port. And it is not the first time that this issue has been brought to the attention of the St. Lucian public. Only on this occasion, the truckers have taken action that they believe is warranted and justified, and they are also hoping that something significant will come out of it. But as you will hear from an individual in just a moment, as a result of the slow roll, which started recently, I think it was on Friday and has continued over the last few days, the management of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, they have requested a meeting with the truckers and the representatives. But it's more of the same. It is still the manager for the ports, the seaports, who is prepared to meet with the truckers. And on this occasion, the truckers are saying that we have come to realize that when we have those talks, nothing of note normally come out of them, because it's just talk. And the representative of SLASPA is seldom in a position to take any kind of critical decision that would make or effect any kind of positive change. So on this occasion, they're saying, quite apart from having a representative of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, they want the other stakeholders to be in attendance. And that ought to include the minister who has responsibility for SLASPA, and that is Minister Stevenson King. This was revealed last evening during the DBS special Newsmaker Live, and making that revelation was Mr. Leslie Jean-Baptiste, who is the managing director of Eagle Freight and Brokerage Services Limited. And during that program, many other people were involved in such services, shipping and brokerage and so on. They did call in to make certain recommendations, and we hope those recommendations will be embraced and will be implemented for the proper functioning of the Castries Seaport. But let us hear now from Mr. Leslie Jean-Baptiste, once again, who was a guest on last evening's Newsmaker Live program.
Truckers have been very, very patient. And over the past few months, a few years, we have been patient, and we've been, sitting by waiting for, engagement. And that is all we are asking for. And I am rallying with the young truckers. We still have some of the older truckers who were there for the last 20 years. They are there, they are rallying with us. And I admire the strength of the truckers. And we are saying that enough is enough. We are tired. We have been patient. We are a key stakeholder in the supply chain, and we need to be engaged. And it is not only SLASPA. We keep hearing that, okay, the director of Seaport is going to meet with us. He wants to meet with us. We want it to be an all-agency engagement. The chamber, customs, the brokers, the shippers, everyone should come together so that we could deal with the issue that we have today. So thank you very much, Tim.
What happens tomorrow, as far as the truckers are concerned?
Tim, as far as we know, we have not been engaged by anyone. SLASPA has asked to have a meeting, and we are saying to SLASPA, if you're going to tell us to have a meeting, we engage SLASPA every day. It's the same thing. So we want someone else other than SLASPA from the higher authorities to say, okay, hey, I'm willing to step in.
Such as?
We're looking at the Minister of Infrastructure and Ports. Mm-hmm. At least we need to hear from him. We have not heard from him. So at least we expect to hear from him. As soon as, let us know that, okay, you're willing to do X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to, say, hey, we're going to go back. But we need to see something positive so that we can head back.
Why the reluctance to resume operations?
Tim, I believe we are fed up. And I don't think there's a better way of saying it. We are fed up. And if we return tomorrow, by the time they end up next week, everybody forget. And then we go back to the same old. I think now is the time, the opportune time we're lucky that the truckers did not take a sick out during the busy season, the Christmas season. We're not doing this right now. And going into Christmas, this issue is going to be worse. It will be worse. So we're looking forward to that engagement.
Mr. Leslie Jean-Baptiste was a guest on last evening's Newsmaker Live, and speaking about the plight of the truckers who have taken protest action and looking forward to some permanent solutions to the long-lasting problems that they continue to experience at the Castries port. An individual has sent me some recommendations with regard to the way forward in dealing with that problem. Let me go through them and then I'll reveal his identity. 1. Arrange with Reno Kajada to load all empty containers aboard his barge, as this can be done with minimum expenditure. These containers should be given free of charge to St. Lucians desirable of building homes and businesses. 2. Shed number 6 needs to be demolished, as it serves no real purpose based upon the fact that 100% of all cargo comes containerized. Furthermore, this shed is severely compromised and poses a hazard to the employees, as the foundation for the last 10 years has been severely cracked and sinking. 3. The Geest Shed, which houses the need for the ferries, should be transferred to VG adjacent to the Coast Guard station, where several acres of flat land are readily available with enormous parking facilities. 4. An upgraded maintenance department for the port must be implemented forthwith to service all the equipment for loading and unloading. 5. The SLASPA board must be restructured with capable individuals who won't be afraid to implement meaningful contributions. For example, Mr. Leslie Jean-Baptiste would be one who should be placed on this board. 6. Plans should be put in the front burner to use the cul-de-sac land adjacent to the Hess project to store and accommodate all future container cargoes. This can be done in a very simple manner. We have several hundred flatbeds on island, and when the ships start discharging, the containers should be placed directly on the flatbed and taken to cul-de-sac. 7. With all those suggestions, the port could become more productive and thousands of dollars would be saved, bringing the shipping cost to a respectable level. Continues, the millions set aside for the halls of justice needs to be invested in the port to save our economy. Recommendations coming from well-known businessman Sir Michael Chasney. And those should be taken into consideration because it appears that within its ranks, apparently the board and the management of the St. Lucia Airport and Seaport Authority, they do not have the wherewithal in terms of the expertise. I mean, no disrespect, maybe because of the lack the intelligence as far as those issues are concerned, to implement various ideas, to take various steps and measures that would permanently deal with that problem. Because if something surfaces at that particular level, which has negative implications for the wider St. Lucian society, why not, do whatever that is possible. If it entails going outside of your rank, getting support from certain individuals in the society, if we do not have it within our borders, go overseas. Just do what is necessary, what is required, so that this problem can be addressed once and for all. Because as many of you who watched the program last night would have found out, this is turning out to be very costly, not so much, unfortunately, for SLASPA and central government, but the people who are seeking its services. And therefore, those people should not be punished because of ineptitude, the inefficient operations of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority that is definitely affecting the operations of the Castries port. There comes a time when you have to do what is required, what is necessary. If it calls for tweaking, making certain bold decisions and so on, do what is necessary so that any problem that you're confronted with can be dealt with effectively. And we hope that those recommendations, again, will not be falling on deaf ears. And folks at the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, they'll not feel as if they would be humiliated if they latch on to those recommendations and implement them. Let's open the lines to get calls right now at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We are discussing the issues in the news and matters of concern to you. Also coming up, somebody says that the gangs over in Haiti, and they have destabilized that country and taken over the larger part or section of the capital. They should be engaged. So you'll be hearing from that individual during the course of our program. In the meantime, let me go through some of your WhatsApp messages. Remember, 452-2979, the number to call. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Again, 716-2026. And, okay, we have many WhatsApp messages, but I think what we can do is to try to see if we can go through some of the messages that we had yesterday. But in the meantime, regarding developments over in V4, because we understand that the customs officers in that part of the island, they were on a sick out earlier this week. Somebody says, it's my honest belief that customs administration lack the ability to effectively plan, prioritize, and manage the resources given with great care and understanding. The lack of leadership, communication, and planning is blatantly showing, thus revealing the weakness in the organization. Staff have concerns which is yet to be resolved: lack of staff, poor working conditions, including lack of security at the sheds and the V4 main office, the bullying from a supervisor who has written reports against him who seems to be untouchable. Furthermore, this administration wants to play cat and mouse, sack race, ice cold and green via a staff retreat when staff are not satisfied with management. There is great economic uncertainty. Instead of staff retreat, can the money be put into the needs of the staff? Economic blight. We are doomed with this administration. Lord, help us. And that is a WhatsApp message regarding the plight of our customs officers operating from the south of the island. And let me see if I have some more of your messages. Remember, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, good afternoon. I'm in solidarity with the truckers. I've worked with them in the past, and I know their struggles. Another one. That's another WhatsApp message. Tim, the truckers would be well advised not to let anyone come near, and not to let any political operatives near their protest. They have started something organic, and they must be careful not to align themselves to any political party. We have a call on the landline. Let's take that call. As we say, good afternoon to you. This is Newspin. You are on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, Timothy, and your listeners all over the world. PW is on the line, Timothy.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Timothy, when you have in the past a competent customs controller and the government felt it was fit to remove him because of Rovergate, Timothy, what do you expect customs should be? And put a gentleman in charge. How do we know he is competent? How do we know he can delegate work to his employees? That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, Timothy, is this. If you have a competent man, you employed another man because he supports one political party over the next. So you must have chaos in the establishment. You have employed somebody that you're not sure whether that is competent enough to run the operations of customs. So when government political parties get involved in the running of the country, this is exactly what happens. Chaos. You have the borders become poor, and the country becomes vulnerable. And then what happens? The law and order breaks down in the country. It's high time we employ people in these positions that are competent and not people that would walk a political line to run the affairs of the country. No matter what department it is, let us employ competent people and people that know the job. Timothy, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. We have a WhatsApp message which reads, we are still asking for our streets and roads to be properly marked around the St. Lucia. Castries isn't St. Lucia. And another WhatsApp message, somebody says there, I'm really saddened by the protests going on with the truckers. Just when I thought I'd be receiving peat moss to get my seedlings going for the season after waiting for over a month due to shipment delays. Cries of a young female farmer pleading to the authorities to make something happen for the farmers at its soonest. I suspect the person meant to say CMOS. Okay. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We have a call on the landline. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, and Tim, it's really something in terms of our culture. There's a saying that after 9 days, St. Lucians move on. And, the awakening of, in the light of Kemi Anthony's address last week to the nation, or maybe 9 days ago, to be exact, I think it's important for me to make a contribution on what I thought of him, because he was hard in a campaign with Philippe against me on the constituency grounds in Marshall. So since today's the 9th day, I think it's important for me to make my own points and give my views on what I think he did and how he did it.
By the way, that's former government minister Fortuna Belrose. Continue, ma'am.
One and only. It's
Yes.
only me that would call you to tell you that.
Yes, ma'am.
So for me, I always like to give credit where credit is due, and you know that. But Kenny Anthony for me represented globally, and he gave glowing representation for our country. While he was out there, he made good sense, except of course that financially he couldn't manage his business, and the World Bank had to tell him go back and manage his affairs, put that in order. And Tim, you would agree with me that he was perhaps the most influential politician in the country in the last 28 years. Influence, of course, can be negative and positive. And after all, we see the manifestations of these policies everywhere. And in particular, the psyche of aggression and divisiveness and greed that currently pervades our land. What he represents to me is a leader that failed to effectively use the resources he had at his disposal to empower the people, particularly at the constituency level. He was hand-delivered a constituency with tremendous potential for positive transformation. But with all his brilliance, he was unable to work the mechanics of getting it right, to propel the community of Beaufort forward in a way that would be unmatched in our country. The South is still the most deprived part of the island. Perhaps now he has signaled his departure. That malaise on Beaufort may well be a thing of the past. But what type of politics he facilitated? He led the sale and development of transactional politics to the people, knowing full well that it was not sustainable if this small nation had to become prosperous. Prosperous is citizens who are ambitious, community conscious, critical and independent thinkers, determined to realize their hopes and aspirations. That's how, that's when we talk about empowerment, these are the things we look for in our citizens. And to my mind, he didn't do a great job of ensuring that happened in an environment where, people through a community participation process saw their obligations to society, and of course doing so in a respectable way, conforming to the laws of the country and having a very healthy work ethic. So, if you're coming into politics, to me, that's what you're coming to do. You're coming to serve the country. You're coming to make it better. You're coming to improve the lives of the people. And there's no way what we saw in the last 28 years under him did that. So it could not be that $5 could block a hole. That's what we were told. $5 could block a hole and we should be happy. It could not be that half a loaf is better than none. It could not be that we will fight you in the street if development opportunities are coming to the community. It could not be that the criminals are in such a majority in the community that you are asking them to give the people a break. It could not be that you are saying that there will be no peace when economic advances were being made for the people of the South. And you continue to be defiant, in a defiant mode, right through, saying, put it in your pipe and smoke it. These are the utterings of the Labour Party underneath Kenny Anthony. This just could not be right for the advancement of the community, where we are all so intimately connected. One small society with 180,000 people. Every other person is your cousin or auntie or uncle, And so we needed to get that right. But yes, we had some constituencies for some reason which fell prey, to this type of teaching for a number of years. And of course, what they're told is that they do so with love, humility, and peace. But the question remains for our society, peace for who? Because many mothers and families that are grieving today with little to no socio-psychological support and physical support, it paints a grim picture that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. There's a high level of social deprivation in some of these communities, and in fact, just last week, it was brought to my attention that you have some of the communities where the young girls are being pimped by their own mothers, and so we need to pay attention to that, and that happens in both of their constituencies, the current leader and the one who was there before. We need to look at the children, from these communities. We need to make the job of the politician about real issues of development, that comes with a level of awareness.
But don't you think, aren't you afraid that people are going to, Mrs. Belrose, that people are going to miss the point? When you bring those realities across in such a seemingly crude manner, straightforward.
But it has to be straightforward. If it's not straightforward, you wouldn't get the message. They must see it, they must understand it. Governments are appointed to make a difference in the lives of the people. Governments are appointed to create a better atmosphere for the future. And if we're not seeing it, and if it's just continuous chaos that we are selling, we are doomed. If Kenny was people empowerment focused, he would have been focused on the mindset and building capacity of constituents to lead and effect meaningful changes. And he would have ensured that the community development people, community development through people empowerment and engagement was key for him, ensuring that they understood their rights and responsibilities in much the same way he rightfully understands his and can articulate it. Every citizen under his watch should have been able to do exactly what he did there, standing up and saying, "This is my right, and I have a right to this and a right to that." They should have been able to say this. He had 28 years to instill that in them. But what he offered was just handout that didn't take the people anywhere. Only yesterday I was in Haiti, and I was speaking to a few people there. And all you get from them is a sense of the confusion or the confucius nature of Ken, And that is why, he was worried that Philip Pierre would be walking on a children, because he knows himself. His personality and leadership style does not allow him to be a routine follower. He's an uncontrollable thinker, and if you understand group dynamics well, Tim, those people are always tossing ideas and revisiting situations, and this can lead to confusion and unnecessary tension, with constant delays, and particularly when you engage in highly bureaucratic settings or even community settings. You need people who understand it and can move quickly with clarity in thoughts and everything else, but not every now and then coming back and, you have to review, you have to reevaluate constantly, but at the same time, it has to be done in a structured way where the people can feel the progress that is happening. But here's what. He allowed Philip Pierre to settle and resolve the aggression of a pit bull to terrorize the nation. But yet he accused Alan of having a poodle. You see the difference? So as Prime Minister, Alan had a poodle, an intelligent, appeared to be an intelligent young person, small person. But in this case, he allowed Philip Pierre to appoint a pit bull. To appoint a pit bull to terrorize the nation, And he should have known, if he was a visionary leader, he should have known the character and insecurities of Philip Pierre as a PM for the country, He So he chose to initially pull back on this, but I can tell you the man is his protege and he coached him, and the man said he was well ready to be the prime minister. So we cannot blame Philip Pierre because he was coached by Kenny Anthony, who chose to sit back and watch what is happening to our society today. You know, he should have put his foot down and stopped this from very early, because he said you know what, I know what, they don't know what, we should all know. Whatever that statement was. But it seemed to me he would have had some damning information, and if he had gone in and did all his investigations like they did against Guy Joseph, yeah, with the I can't remember the man's name.
The special prosecutor, Mr. Innocent?
Not even Mr. Special Prosecutor, the one they paid $3 million for some time ago, and nothing has happened out of that, you know. And I'm saying you did all of these investigations, you know, rather than focus on what was your problem internally. So he allowed the unleashing of the greatest bully in our land, you know, and he must never forget that. That's something that he will go down with. He did not fight to protect the citizens of this land. As PM, he stood up and fired a mother on maternity leave because she did not agree with his policies. And yet, as a former PM, you could not use your influence to effectively prevent what we now see. When you knew what we know, what they don't know, you know, Tim, you know how much damage this has done to our people, the psyche of our people. Young people are being bullied every day, and yet the gang still continues to allow this at the highest level, you know. In the meantime, we have politicians around him, his creation, having become millionaires within 3 years. Millions of our CIP monies have disappeared. And we, you know, and we have a famous politician claiming that the pit bull is his mentor. You know, our women are being abused while so-called leaders and citizens remain mute in the name of politics. And all we see from the Labour Party is distraction and theatrics. Entertainment, bluff, and using the good name of citizens to create doctrines, and using the good name of Alan Chastney to disguise their misdeeds. Tim, what we have seen with the leadership of Kenny, and how, you know, I didn't go, and now his new doctrine of separation, because that's what I saw, a doctrine of separation, you know, that should evoke disgust in all of us to ensure that this circus comes to a quick and healthy end. We must see our vote as citizens as a weapon or tool for real change in our country's direction. And where we are a mature and, you know, and look to become a mature citizenry, recognize that the things that are important to us are in our constitution, our safety, our security, our livelihood, our health, our employment opportunities, our aspirations as people, and our freedom. These are the things that are important to us. And these are the things we must put on them to be able to deliver for us. You know, I'm inclined to believe that the people have become enlightened to some extent when I listen. But importantly, they must demonstrate that desire and interest in coming together to plan for their future. They cannot allow the politicians to plan for them. They must be a part of the process and take ownership at the base level, you know, because this is where the action is. So when you have, you know, so in the case of Kenny, you know, the constituency has been named a no-go zone. You know, his own proteges established a law in Parliament to restrict everything in that constituency. You know, it means there's a lot to be desired, really a lot to be desired. And he's left a very low bar for community intervention and participation in development. The community now has to start from scratch and rethink. And by the way, team, if I were he, I would not have taken the people to the rivers of Babylon, you know. I would have taken them to the river of Jordan. And I say the river of Jordan, team, because if you remember the story of Naaman in the Bible, you would know that, you know, I'm sure your mother taught you that. And that's in 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1 to 27. He was a Syrian commander who led King Amnon to victory. He was very important to the king and was afflicted with leprosy. And it was recommended by the prophet Elisha that he washed himself in the river of Jordan so he can be healed from his leprosy. So I think that's where I would have got it, I would tell you. And if he couldn't go to Jordan, I think he had the Sulphur Springs, which is a real good place to get a good bath, you know, to reorganize yourself and come back. But we must make a conscious effort, you know, for awareness, education, so that we can make the right decisions for ourselves and our country. You know, it's not a costly exercise. It just takes time, but it can be done. And I can tell you the frustrations, you know, even with Kenny himself, in terms of trying to make that happen, you know, in communities. But that's one of the show. I've taken enough time. I will at least get a chance to speak again, because I'm telling you, that whole episode and what's happening there will not go away for a long time. We need to get it right in the society, and we need leaders who understand what it is development is supposed to be when they come into the leadership of our country.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Just there from former government minister Fortuna Belrose. Let me turn my attention now to Amanda. Good afternoon to you. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, Newspinners. Tim and Newspinner says, I imagine the canine unit is more valuable than giving the police bikes and vehicles. Another commentary reads, Tim, that was one of your best interviews in a while. I was very impressed with your guest's tone and demeanor. Our leaders should emulate Mr. Leslie's leadership style. And Newspinner says there are too many unqualified management workers at FLASPA. This is what happens when you create jobs for the boys in all sectors. The document reads, all these are long-term visions of the United Workers' Party. Someone says there are too many political appointments and lack of expertise on all of these organizations, example NEMO, WASCO, etc. Another commentary reads, I am so happy with what the truckers did by taking such an effective industrial action. They did it without any assistance with political leaders, and so none of them should get credit for what the truckers did. And Newspinner says there, as a people, we have been and remain reactive instead of being proactive. The powers that be lack the foresight to plan for expansion and growth. Too many square pegs in round holes, a lack of experience in their appointed roles, failure to properly delegate, thus poor execution. What else do we expect but mishap after waste of taxpayers' monies? Another commentary says, Kenny created a society of dependency. Another comment reads, it's a bit of a long one. No one is willing to give Kenny Anthony credit for affirmative action policy under his administration. No one is willing to give Kenny Anthony credit for breaking up the monopoly of cell phone service, Digicel, which now allows almost everyone in St. Lucia to have mobile service at a reasonable cost. The document reads, I was very reluctant to do this, but I am tired of the Kenny Anthony obsession and bashing. These are some of the accomplishments from 1997 to 2006 under Kenny Anthony administration. Key accomplishments: education. The St. Lucia Education Act of 1997 mandated that students must remain in school until the age of 16. Health. The Health Sector Reform Task was formed in 1997, and the 2000 Health Sector Reform White Paper examined various health financing options, leading to the first phase of universal health coverage (UHC) implementation in 2022. Economic development. The government supported the manufacturing sector with tax reductions and incentives, and construction activity peaked, contributing significantly to the gross domestic product. Infrastructure. Investments were made in economic infrastructure, including drainage, disaster mitigation, and upkeep of property, with a significant expenditure on water-related projects. Social infrastructure. Central government investment in social infrastructure, particularly in education, health, and community works, saw a substantial increase. World Heritage Sites, the Peters volcanic twin peaks were declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2004. Cricket grounds, the Boseju Cricket Ground in Grosile and the National Stadium in VA4 were established, contributing to economic diversification. Education promise. The government aimed to deliver on its promise of universal secondary education, guaranteeing a place at secondary school for every child who passed the common entrance examination. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. Somebody in the chat room said, "Woi, Amanda." Thank you so much for that update. WhatsApp message. Somebody says, "Are you aware that there is strike action at the government warehouse where they sell rice, sugar, and flour?" Well, I'm hearing this for the first time. I'm sure we'll be receiving confirmation before we conclude this broadcast. Once again, somebody's asking, "Are you aware that there is strike action at the government warehouse where they sell rice, sugar, and flour?" So we are waiting confirmation on this. The most monitored talk show in the world. UltraMed Health Services is a trusted provider of comprehensive medical care, offering a wide range of services from urgent care, laboratory services, and also advanced ultrasound diagnostics. Ultramed Health Services is conveniently located in Rodney Bay behind the Bay Walk Mall. Give them a call at 715-8484. Once again, the number is 715-8484 or 287-8484, 287-8484. Or to book your medical appointment today, call 572-8484, 572-8484. More still to come.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucelec customers are advised that from Monday the 19th of May until the 26th of May, an island-wide meter replacement campaign will be undertaken. This is at no additional cost to customers. This is part of Lucelec's ongoing commitment to providing safe, reliable, and efficient service. The new meters will ensure continued accuracy in customer usage readings and ensure that services continue to meet the highest standards. Customers with meters scheduled for replacement will receive a Lucelec notice at least 48 hours before. On the day of the replacement, a uniformed Lucelec technician with proper identification will undertake the work, which is generally estimated to take less than 30 minutes. To ensure a smooth process, customers are encouraged to ensure that there is a clear and unobstructed path to their meter. All questions or queries concerning this meter change should be addressed to the Lucelec customer service team at 457-4440 or the metering section at 457-4607. Lucelec thanks their valued customers for their cooperation, understanding, and support throughout the process.
Need more days of savings? MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Super Saturday of Savings has just been extended to Sunday. Take advantage of amazing deals. This weekend, MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt are offering you amazing discounts on selected items. MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt Super Saturday of Savings has been extended to Sunday. Don't miss out on the incredible discounts and deals. See in-store, Facebook, or www.mnchomedepot.com for more details. Terms and conditions may apply. Better value for better.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Butay. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Hey, St. Lucians, this is the moment that you have been waiting for. St. Lucia, St. Lucian Massive, come out and celebrate with us. Learn about your libido, your energy, learn about your gut microbiome and why it is your center of health. Are you tired of taking pills for everything? Boy, I'm tired of them something that don't work. Come out and have fun with some of the top health experts and elite performer, Mr. McCasey and Nika, the chemist himself, Dr. St. Rose, and other entrepreneurs. Taste all of the products. Free admission, free prizes, and light refreshments will be available. Mark your calendars, June 3rd, 2025. Registration starts at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. The main event is at 6:30 p.m. at the Financial Center, Point Seraphine. Listen, miss it and blame yourself. You gotta have guts in this world. Message Vanessa Cox on WhatsApp at 347-204-7670 to RSVP and for your free gift. Boom.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called Newspin on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on the Newspin Facebook page as well as the Newspin YouTube channel. I've just been able to confirm that, yes, there is some kind of protest action or strike at the government supply warehouse, which is located on the Latok Road. And that's the area where they sell the rice, sugar, and flour. Yes, there is a strike action being taken there by employees at the government supply warehouse, and this started today. Let's see if we have a call online at 452-2979. Once again, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. 716-2026. Somebody says they're Haiti. It has been 65 days since the government tabled its landmark $2.1 billion budget, and an electronic copy of the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure is yet to be made available for the public to scrutinize the expenditure proposals of the government. A budget of this magnitude needs to be thoroughly interrogated. What is the SLP government hiding? The devil is always in the detail. St. Lucians deserve to have access to the budget documents in a reasonable time frame after it has been tabled and debated. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Hi, Tim. Good day.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
Tim, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that I heard Mr. Augustine yesterday. And he confirmed for me a lot of things that I suspected. He didn't mention it, but I made my observations last year and early this year when I visited Shed 6. And I want to ask a question today on your program. Why are forklifts, the forklifts at the sheds belonging to a particular businessman, when it is my information that the government do have forklifts that are not in use? Find out that answer for me, Tim. But let me go now to the K9 unit, Tim, which I spoke about at the time when it was hot in the news. Last week, the Prime Minister did some investigations, and he summed up that every gunshot victim would, I guess those who survive, would cost the state 100,000. Are you aware of that, Tim?
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
You remember that report?
Yes, I remember.
So Tyson or his partner or whatever, whichever one of them, just saved our government and people by recovering 3,000 rounds of ammunition. They would have saved the government $300 million in just that one bus, Tim. So I go back in time. Always like to go back in time. Listening to Lisa Jawai at the time when Onesile came in and said how Chasney was paying too much money for his friends, whatever, for the dog. And remember, it wasn't one dog, eh? Yeah, and you keep stressing that.
Yeah.
And we know that's true. It's not one dog.
It was 3.
Now we have 2.
Yes,
Do we have 2?
We have
one?
We have 2 now. We have 2.
Okay, but we had 3 for 40,000. How much does a dog cost now, Tim? Did the Prime Minister come back and say?
No, he has not spoken about this. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So Tyson, on its first appearance, first mission, Tyson saved us $300 million and many, many lives. Because if you put in bullet per life, he would have saved us, he or she, I guess, since it's Tyson, it's a male. Tyson saved us at least 3,000 lives. Now, people may argue, I can hear the critics already on your live, probably saying, oh, those 2 years, how can you say that the firearms would have been recovered? That's what a foolish critic would say on the live. I can predict that. But we have to assume, go with what we know. In the last 2 years, we have had approximately 150 homicides, 80% of which are gun-related. So that's at least 120 people, 100 to 120 people killed in the last 2 years. Tyson could have saved us, or Tyson's predecessors could have saved us those lives. $40,000 cannot replace a life.
Colin, I still cannot understand the rationale for the government deciding to disband the K9 unit. If you said it was too expensive, okay, bide your time, make the sacrifice, continue to have the K9 unit in operation while you are, to put it bluntly, begging the French to provide us with a K9 or 2. But to leave and you're a former police officer, to leave our police officers without a K9 unit at a time we were talking about and complaining about our borders being porous. We're recording record number of homicides, particularly involving the use of illegal firearms and ammunition. And I don't know why any prime minister, unless a prime minister who is the minister for national security, would do something that is so reckless. To be upfront, so reckless.
Tim, but you played the.
You're breaking up, Colin.
Himself.
You're saying?
I said you played the clip when the Prime Minister was fumbling over a question posed by a reporter about the K9.
Yeah.
And he fumbled all over himself. And even after the show was ended, I played that back and I just kept laughing. The Prime Minister have made some real asinine statements, you know. The Prime Minister is totally out of his league, you know, when you see he speaks on those matters. And he was preceded by Lisa Jawai, she herself knows nothing about what she's talking about. And those people are coming and talk about things that they have no idea about. Milton Daisy, the last commissioner of police at the time of the dogs and so on, gave justification for that canine unit. And he said that the dogs pay for themselves, for itself. That raid team alone can show you how many millions of dollars that Tyson have saved us and lives. We are even talking about the money, the lives. The chances of that getting out already in a chaotic St. Lucia. So when people like Lisa Jawai are given papers just to come and read, those people have no idea what they're talking about. You know? Followed by the Prime Minister who does nothing. He always halfway in the question, he mumbling and he saying, well, you know, I'm not a policeman. So why the hell are you speaking about what you don't know? Let the police talk about the dogs. Don't come and attempt it. Tim, I have said I don't need to call those programs, you know. I can lie on the beach with my fishing rod and just cool out. But when I hear stupid people talking about things that they don't know, I'm forced to come out of retirement and defend people like you know, Tim. So, that there. I could have said a lot more about the breed. Ozzy Boys mentioned why it wasn't a controlled delivery. That's another show. A lot of your callers, listeners, don't even know what's a controlled delivery. I will not put them in class now. I will wait for another time.
No, do it now. Do it now. Do it on your way out. What's that?
Do it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Tim, a controlled delivery is when the police identify a barrel with illicit substance like those guns and ammunition. They scan it. They know it's there. It's addressed to somebody. They lay in wait, set up all the surveillance, let somebody come and clear it, give it to them, do the surveillance, follow the person, let all of them gather, start to share and open this stuff, their barrels at their homes, and nab the whole front net and crab all of them like sardines. Tim, it is very difficult for the police to do that, to prove a case like that at the wharf, at the shed. Because if somebody send you a barrel, Tim, you have no control over what they put in it while it's shipping and while it's you're not in possession of it. So you would allow the persons to take it, claim it, because the name is on it, and they would live with it, and you'd nab the whole sack of them, a whole sackload of them. That's when you have control over it. So that's why it's called a controlled delivery. You deliver it to them, but you have control over it because you have eyes on it. You set up all your people already, and then you follow it to wherever it goes, and then you deal with them. The police could have done that, and we would have been happy because we would have had a number of people at Bodiley having breakfast or lunch this afternoon. But I don't know how many persons signed. Did they say how many persons were arrested?
No, I don't think anybody was arrested. No.
Right. I would have slept better, Tim, knowing that at least 10 people more have added to the population at Bodiley. So that is what we want. We want the police to do those things. And they can come out after the case and tell us, because there were persons are still raising the issue of the container that left and went to a business in the north, and you have never heard anything about it. Yeah. The people need to know those things because they don't want to know when the police is furnished with information that the police can come back and tell them good job because information is coming in. But if you don't do anything, Tim, you're not helping yourself. The police has a problem in marketing themselves, Tim. They always figure they're giving people too much information. But the people giving you information, so you can give them information.
And you must
at the
know,
end of the case.
and of course, you're a professional. You ought to know what kind of information you can share with the public. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know your limit. You know what you can say.
Mm-hmm.
Before a case, while a case is in court, you know up to what you can say. All the officers listening to your program there must be in agreement with me, Tim, because I ain't there to fool or doing anybody. And that's why I tell you it was for another show, but you insisted, so I tell you. So next time I call Tim, I'll extend my class to another half an hour.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Let me turn my attention to Amanda. Let's find out what is happening in the chat room. Amanda, good afternoon to you again.
Tim and Newspin says, every team, we can't afford to bathe in the sulfur springs anymore. The price is sky high. Another commentary reads, remember PJP said if St. Lucians strike about the Millennium Highway, he would join. PJP is mad enough to call a strike against himself. And Newspin says, there are many of you are too young to remember. Kenya and the long list of young progressives had from 1975 formed the Workers' Revolutionary Movement, WRM, a small but effective anti-imperialist political entity that punched way above its size and weight in the island's pre- and post-independence politics. The WRM earned the wrath of the SLP for declaring in 1978 its principled support for independence for St. Lucia, irrespective of under which political party or leader, since independence is a necessary step for national liberation. Another commentary reads, is Alan Chasney's name and picture still on the Toronto Consulate website as Prime Minister of St. Lucia? I hope they don't go through the problem of removing it because they will have to put it back very soon. Someone says Eric Kenny was the Prime Minister for 3 terms and people have no right to speak about his failures. Just say that he was a good Prime Minister. Another commentary says St. Lucians are not asking the question of how much is Tyson and the company. And the team and Newspin says here, how can the police make a huge arms bust but no arrests have been made? Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. Somebody said there via WhatsApp, I noticed that a piece of propaganda that was sent to Newspin yesterday was resent today. A hack is talking nonsense about how the United Workers' Party should stay away from the truckers' protest. Well, to my knowledge, the SLP in opposition never needed a second invitation to join any protest. As a matter of fact, the SLP actively manufactured protests when it is in opposition. I can cite the banana strikes in the 90s, the civil servant strikes in the early 2000s, and the super spreader march in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, to name a few. Why should anyone use catapults in these general elections when your opponents are firing bazookas? Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Who does these firearms denomination belong to? And was anyone arrested? Well, as we said earlier on, no one was arrested in connection with that bust which occurred recently. We have a call on the landline. Good afternoon to you. This is Newspin. You're on the air. Okay, what was that call? Let me say we'll go through another WhatsApp message, and this one reads, what happened to the gun found in a refrigerator or freezer? It was a relative of a high-ranking police officer. I don't have any new information to share on this. Let's try again, the landline. Good afternoon to you. You're on the air. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Okay, what was that call? All right, somebody says that via WhatsApp, this seizure by the police at the ports need to be investigated. Were these guns planted there to gain PR points for the government? Did they come from the police armory? How come no one was arrested? Wasn't it consigned to anyone? Why didn't they await its delivery and make an arrest? Lots of questions being asked. And let's see. Okay, let's see if we have another WhatsApp message to go through. Somebody says there via WhatsApp. Just bear with me. Somebody says there via WhatsApp, Tim. When the containerized cargo has to be destuffed, where are they going to put the cargo? The best solutions are move the cargo port to Cul-de-sac, leave Castries as a dedicated cruise port to serve tourists and interregional travel, revitalize Port Vieux as a southern port as it was before to handle local cargo and transshipment cargo. Continue the plan to build a cruise port in Vieux. And somebody says that, Tim, it was a conspiracy to get the guns in the country. The scanner at the port stopped working. They stopped the dogs as soon as they came in. And the murders and gun violence went up for the last 2 to 3 years. It is all a conspiracy, and we can all speculate, and we can as to... Okay, let's end it there. We have a call via the landline. Good afternoon, Newspin, you on the air.
Hi, Timothy.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yes. I heard, I've been listening to the program, and I heard the gentleman that you suggested, who said maybe calling from the Ministry of Agriculture. And, I was just shaking my head because he called into question some of the things Mr. Joseph said. But I have to question some of the things he said, because on Sunday and on Monday, I was walking through the constituency, the Oje community, and I was talking to some of the farmers. And some of the roads to get to some of the farms are deplorable. They are deplorable. And in 2025, we still have a problem with getting water to the farmers. I mean, when are we going to seriously take agriculture seriously in this country? It's frustrating, to say the least, that we only talk about agriculture when there is a crisis or controversy. But the truth is, our farmers have been struggling for years, and still nothing is being done to truly support them. I mean, let's take the factor of production, starting with water, for instance. Our rivers are becoming increasingly brackish, and yet there is no real intervention to ensure that farmers can irrigate their crops sustainably. WASCO does not prioritize water to supply farmers. And when they do offer connections, it is often at commercial rate. These are not my words. These are the words of the farmers of Oje. And it's simply unfair, especially for the small farmer trying to survive. And what about the other inputs? They're sporadic at best, because, Timothy, with this kind of neglect for agriculture, how can we truly, genuinely talk about food security? Despite the challenges, our farmers remain resilient, I must say, and I want to take this opportunity to thank those who have generously donated vegetables to our Sisters of the South Community Night, happening this Saturday at their place in Safi Estate in Labrie at 7 p.m. I mean, I was amazed the amount of vegetables that they were sent to me for the event. I'm just beyond grateful. So I want to take this opportunity to encourage everybody to join us. It promises to be a blast. This is a chance they get to interact with me, Laura Japierre-Noel, not the version that the Labour Party is twisting in the media, but the real Laura Japierre-Noel. I want you to come and hear from the bold and brilliant Leanna Johannes Paul and discover why the two of us are a formidable duo in the South, committed to real change. So for those persons who want to join us, call me 484-6536 to get your ticket, and let us stand with the farmers of St. Lucia. Let us stand together for meaningful change. And that is an invitation to you as well, Timothy. If you are interested, call me, and I will get you a couple of tickets to come and join us at the community, at our community night. Sisters of the South. This is the first of its kind, and I'm excited about it. And I know that lots of people are excited to be there. And if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, you should do so, because the tickets are running out fast, quick, and furious.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. Thanks for the invitation. But I can't remember the last time I ever have been to a political activity. It's been quite a while, whether it's SLP, UWP, or no P at all. But we hear now from Opposition Senator Harold Stanislaus, because he called the broadcast yesterday to speak about increases with regard to accessing the Sulphur Springs Park, the Soufriere jetties, and also the Gros Piton Nature Trail, and that is as of April the 1st. And from June the 1st, respectively, regarding vending to vend at those particular facilities, that has moved from $50 to $200. And for the boaters, the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation normally charge $2.75 for its passenger. This has been increased now to $5.50. Let us hear from Opposition Senator Harold Stanislaus.
It's a press release regarding the increase in fees at the Sulphur Springs Park and the jetties, which was released by the Soufriere Foundation, I think effective 1st of June, 2025. And the Soufriere Foundation team, as many of us are aware, is an agency, a quasi-government entity, which is mainly responsible for fostering socio-economic development for the people of Soufriere and Fort Saint-Jacques and environs. But in the increases, most of the brunt of the increases is going to be on the backs of the people of Soufriere. And if you look at one of the memos, one of the letters they wrote to the vendors have been, and most of those vendors are residents of the Sulphur Springs area. These are persons who've lived there all their life. Their grandparents, parents are also single mothers. And they have been paying rent there for about $50 monthly for many, many years. During my time as parliamentary representation, my predecessor, as well as Walter Francois. It so happened that the rent have been increased from $50 to $200 on the backs of those vendors.
Wow.
That's
from $50 call it to $150, and that is from
$50 to
$200. $200 for what period?
$200.
For what period?
Well, they have to start paying this fee, the $200, effective April of this year.
But it's on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis.
Okay.
And prior to that, it was $50 a month. And I'm saying that April, this is the end of the winter season, the high season for tourists. You know, very little that those vendors are going to be making on a daily or weekly basis between April and November when the season reopens. You also have to factor in the cost of living crisis which we are facing in this country. Those vendors are single mothers. And when you have put in, this is almost like 300% increase, 4 times what they were paying before on the backs of vendors. That is very unfair. That is very insensitive, Tim.
But you think so that is part of the secret deal?
Well, these are questions which the people of Soufriere have to demand from the parliamentary representative. And I'm coming to that as well, Tim. If you look at the jetty fees, the local boaters in Soufriere, the local pirogue owners, water taxis, and locals with speedboats and so on in Soufriere, they used to pay $2.75 EC per head when they were docking on the jetties. It has been increased to $5.50, so it's like 100% increase on the backs of the locals in Soufriere. Again, we have to ask the question, why in the low season you are increasing those fees? The jetties in Soufriere, team, are in a mess. Since Hurricane Beryl last year in July, the jetties were severely damaged, severely compromised. And nothing has been done really to upgrade those jetties to put it into a condition where it is going to be conducive for embarking and disembarking and safeguard the lives and property of boaters in Soufriere. But yet still, we learned of a secret deal from the parliamentary representative with GPH for 30 years plus another 10 years of extension if they so desire. So it's almost 40 years for that list of the port. GPH have been collecting millions of dollars in St. Lucia on podcasters based on the agreement they have. So are those increases which the Soufriere Foundation is implementing on the backs of the vendors at Sulphur Springs, the boaters in Soufriere, the tour operators in this country, is that part of the deal with GPH?
You just heard that from opposition senator and former MP for Soufriere Fort Saint-Jacques, Mr. Harold Stanislas. This is the most monitored talk show in the world. Newspin still to come. We'll be hearing from Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Scarrett. Stay with us.
On Saturday, June 14th, as the island ignites at Lumina, taking over Project Chocolat, Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja.
Lauren say it cold out in New York City. If you hear she ballin', I need a little rundown.
Alongside soca sensations Ezra and Sly. Backed up by the electrifying Impulse Band. Music by Hype Kid, A1 Jugglers, the Galdem DJ Sir Lancelot. Powered by Island Sounds. Hosted by MC Donoville. Tickets $130, no door sales. Get yours at the Cell, Island Wide, Mambo's Bar in Soufriere, or online at 4circlestickets.com. On Saturday, June 14th, Lumina. From 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Dress code Caribbean chic.
Prepare for the hurricane season by ensuring trees and other objects on your property won't get tangled in overhead wires. Be careful. Ensure ladders and tools don't come within 10 feet of power lines. If a tree is near electrical lines, don't try to trim it yourself. Contact Lucelec at 452-2165 or 454-6617. Be smart, stay safe.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
Party with Guinness and fly to St. Kitts. Guinness St. Lucia is giving you a shot at an all-expense-paid trip to the St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to 28th, 2025. Experience top dancehall and soca acts from across the region. Buy 2 Guinness or 2 Guinness Smooth to enter. Drop your receipt in promo boxes or DM to We Brew Vibes on Instagram. You must be 18 and over to participate with a valid passport. Prize is non-transferable. Promotion runs May 12th to June 16th with the big draw on June 18th. Plus, look out for Guinness block parties, giveaways, and specials island-wide. Travel sponsored by Sunrise Airways. Guinness, made of more.
St. Lucia, are you ready for the ultimate all-inclusive?
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Eventbrite, Digital Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp at 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State.
Look something to talk about.
Unlimited drink, brunch buffet, top class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Why suffer in silence? At La Clinique de Corps, an approved universal healthcare clinic, you now have direct access to a team of internationally trained specialists from the US, France, Cuba, Venezuela, and more right here in St. Lucia. We treat chronic pain, sciatica, arthritis, lupus, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, and more with precision and care. We also offer advanced diagnostic nerve testing to detect hidden issues early before they become serious. All health insurances accepted. We assist you every step of the way. Call 451-6559 or WhatsApp 721-9950 today. La Clinique de Corps, where healing begins.
Looking for amazing deals on tiles? Mark your calendars. Every last Thursday of the month, the Tile Gallery is offering up to 50% off on selected tiles. Whether you are renovating your kitchen, updating your bathroom, or giving your entire home a fresh new look, now is the time to transform your space and save big. Enjoy up to 50% off on selected tiles. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to upgrade your home without breaking the bank. Visit M&C Home Depot and Sunbelt locations for more details. Terms and conditions.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of a secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world. It is called Newspin. So we've been monitoring Haiti over the last few months, a country under siege, and in particular, its capital, Port-au-Prince, has been taken over by gangs, 80% under the control of those gangs. And Kenya has sent a mission there consisting of about 1,000 soldiers with a number of other territories providing support, whether it's in terms of personnel or other resources, but to no avail. And as a result of this, the majority of the people living in the capital, they have been displaced. You're talking about thousands upon thousands of those individuals who have also been killed, been injured, and they are facing or experiencing starvation. So, the Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, who is a former chairman of CARICOM, on the 26th of this month convened a press conference. And he said something. It's about time that not only the government of Haiti, what passes for the government, but the international community should engage those Haitian gangs that continues to, through the actions, have Haiti under siege and also has destabilized the country to the extent that it appears that it is ungovernable. Let us hear from Prime Minister Skerrit.
I had suggested, and there are many who supported that position, but it doesn't carry through, that we should have had a conversation with the gangs in Haiti. We should have had a conversation in Haiti. The gangs in Haiti are too crucial a player for you to not engage them. And if you do not engage people, then you leave them to their own devices. Sanctions are not going to change the attitude of any gang leader or gang member in Haiti. You understand what I'm saying? I believe, and I went ahead, because I was chairman of CARICOM then, I went ahead and I spoke to Norway, because Norway had played a very crucial role in facilitating discussions and negotiations between the government of Colombia and FARC. Now, they end up, FARC was a terrorist group, and you have now people who are part of FARC in Parliament, in Congress, in part of the government in Colombia. And so I understand people do not want to engage gangs and so on, but they're part of the society. We do not hate them, we hate their behavior and their actions. And how do we get them to curtail or to change their behavior and actions? And to leave these guys to their own devices and sending drones to try to kill them and so on, all you're going to have is get the situation worse. And the gangs are a crucial part of it. Now, I am not a Haitian, I'm not part of the Haitian government. I can only suggest, you understand what I'm saying? But if there's a problem in society, we have to talk. You had the president, the current president of Syria, he had a $10 million bounty in his head a few months ago. And a few weeks ago, he made the president of the United States. You understand what I'm saying? So let us understand that unless we have a discussion with the gangs in there, the gangs are you leave them to the devices, they become their own government in the ghettos, they provide to people that the state cannot provide because the state cannot come into the services. So what do you have? You have a de facto government. Law and order can be maintained. So, and I still believe it's not too late. We cannot set aside anybody in terms of finding a solution for peace. Because without peace in Haiti, without law and order in Haiti, there is no future for Haiti. And one of the crucial ways of bringing in this issue of the thing. Now, if after consultations with the guys, discussion with these guys, they want to behave, then you go after them. You eliminate them. Simple as that. But you give them opportunity to change their ways. You understand? And so this is my personal view on the Haitian situation. This is not a CARICOM position on the matter. So this is my personal view on this.
The Prime Minister of Dominica recommending that the authorities should engage the gangs over in Haiti so that they could get to the bottom of this particular situation in that strife-torn Caribbean nation. Our question of the day, the Newspin question of the day reads, what do you think about the manner in which the Castries port is being managed? What do you think about the manner in which the Castries port is being managed? And in just a moment, Amanda will be going through some of the comments in the chat room. But first, let us listen to Ninja Man, what he has to say about elections around the corner and the behavior of politicians and so on.
Election is coming, the fear is now sounding, corruption's the highest we've seen. Politicians campaigning, their shatters negotiating, and the arms are flowing easily. The go-go shops growing, the ghetto expanding, and guns all over our street. Some thinking of running, but the visa's not coming, and the poor left to suffer and weep. Election is coming, the fear is now sounding, corruption's the highest we've seen. Politicians campaigning, their shatters negotiating, and the arms are flowing easily. The go-go shops growing, the ghetto expanding, and guns all over our street. Some thinking of running, but the visa's not coming, and the poor left to suffer and weep.
Thank you so much, Danger Man. Let me turn my attention now to Amanda. Let's find out what's happening in the chat room. Final update.
Tim, a few comments from the chat room on Newspin says here, Richard Frederick will never talk about these drugs and gun busts on his show. All he will talk about is the man he's obsessed with and the throwing mapwe for women and vendors. Another commentary reads, vendors at the Soufre Silver Springs now have to pay rent from $50 to $200. And Newspin says here, from everything I have heard on this platform, it is clear that the government lack the ability to lead the country. What a shame. Another commentary reads, my question is, what was Ronald Phillip doing on that bust at the ports? Was he cleared of the sexual assault allegations? Someone says here, if no one was arrested, then it was not a bust, it was staged so that the government and police can say their plans are working. Another commentary reads, farmer feeder roads are basically non-existent in St. Lucia. Someone says there, Emma is killing it in Soufre. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much. That's your final update. And finally from us, our Newspin news of the day. The Newspin news of the day reads, China is now the biggest debt collector in the developing world, report says. China is now the biggest debt collector in the developing world, report says. And that is the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, Newspin. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.